to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video, and I'm sure you've probably heard the news today. New York Giants fans are probably celebrating in the streets. There's a lot of New York Giants fans, a lot of polls that were conducted. Probably about 90 to 95% of New York Giants fans wanted to move on from Pat Shurmur. Well, this morning, the New York Giants did, and I cannot say I was surprised. The experts came out yesterday, Ian Rappaport, all of them, Jay Glazer, and said that they expected the Giants to move on from Pat. And now this is the second head coach we fired in over a 2-year stretch. McAdoo had 2 years. Now Shurmur's had 2 years. And the next coach we bring in, I will say this, regardless of the job he's doing, New York Giants fans have to have more patience. And I know they won't. New York fans don't. But this thing is not going to get fixed if you keep flipping coaches every 2 years. And that's one thing that I worry about. Shurmur was not a good head coach. Should have never been hired to begin with. But the reason he was, I've said it in my past videos, was because of John Mara. John Mara was stubborn, and I love Eli Manning. But the timeline never fit with Eli. It never did. There wasn't an offensive line in place. There wasn't a defense. And they forced a 36-year-old quarterback with no team around him on the potential hires. And the only guys that would take that job in their right mind would be guys that were desperate for a job, which is what Pat was. Pat, as good as an offensive coordinator as he was a failed head coach. He was 9-23 with the Browns, the same record he finished with the New York Giants, making him 18-46 overall. Now, I'm sure Pat will move on. He'll get an offensive coordinator job because that's where he's shown he's been successful in the past. And I say it all the time. A lot of great coordinators make bad head coaches. Pat Shurmur's one of them. And, I wish him nothing but the best. It will not be with the New York Giants. Also, in this decision, the New York Giants decided to keep on Dave Gettleman. Dave Gettleman's done a good job, at drafting. He's brash. He makes a lot of decisions that some Giant fans may not agree with. And he makes a lot of decisions that potential hires may not agree with. It might scare them away. And that is what I worry about. I do like keeping on Dave, being that this is a huge draft for the Giants. We'll see how he handles free agency. Hasn't done a good job with that in the past. Granted, hasn't had a ton of cap space. So we'll see what he decides to do. But I do think overall he's a good evaluator of talent. And hopefully Dave Gettleman will get the job done. And we'll have to see what he says tomorrow when he has a scheduled press conference about the future of this team, about the coaching search. And I'm sure the Giants have done their homework and they've looked into coaches already. But one of the things I worry about is by keeping on Gettleman and by forcing them a quarterback in Daniel Jones, not to say Daniel Jones is a deterrent, but some coaches may not like him. You don't know how Matt Rhule feels about him. You don't know. And you don't know how Matt Rhule feels about Dave Gettleman. My guess is he's not going to love him based on some of the quotes that you've heard out of Matt Rhule, which is, I know, a coach a lot of Giants fans are hoping for. And there's going to be a lot of other coaches who probably feel the same way about Gettleman. But we'll find somebody. The thing I worry about, are we going to find another Pat? Are we going to have to settle for a coach, much like the Jets did, much like we did when we ended up with Pat Shurmur? That's what I worry about. There's a lot of head coaches out there in the open market with success. Ron Rivera, Mike McCarthy, Matt Rhule, how he's flipped college programs. There's a lot of guys out there. But we're going to have to see who we end up with. And it's going to be hard to end up with a top-tier head coach, I think, unless the Giants give him some more personnel say than they gave Pat Shurmur. At the end of the day, as bad as Pat Shurmur is, if you're a logical guy, a logical head coach on the open market looking at it, they set Shurmur up for failure. They just did. They brought him in here with Eli Manning, didn't allow him to take his quarterback. Then the next year, they allow him to take his quarterback, Daniel Jones, which I think they brought in here partially due to the fact that they felt he fit the system of Pat Shurmur well. But then they traded away all his talent, and they brought in all rookies. They had Corey Ballantyne starting as a slot corner, for God's sakes. He's a 6th-round pick out of like a third division college. We were never going to win games this year. So if that was Giants fans' expectations and ownership's expectations to win the division or to win 8 or 9 games, I thought they'd win 7 or 8 games if everything broke right. But that's being unrealistic. 4, 5, 6 wins is probably what should have been expected with a rookie quarterback and a young defense like they had. Now, you can't just judge it off wins and losses. I get that. Pat Shurmur handled the media poorly. He was not a great in-game decision maker. His usage of timeouts. The only thing he had going for him was Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones played well this year under Pat Shurmur. One thing that Daniel Jones definitely needs to work on is how he throws the ball in the rain. We saw him struggle yesterday. We saw him struggle against the Cardinals. But overall, Daniel Jones had a very strong rookie season. And I think Pat Shurmur deserves a lot of credit for that. And I'm sure he's going to get an offensive coordinator job based off of that. And based off of what he's done in the past with other quarterbacks. So good luck to him. The coaching search now begins. And I'm going to let you guys drop some recommendations in the comments below of what coaches you want to see me do videos on. I've done videos on a couple already. Mike McCarthy I did a video on. I did one on Rhule. And I've done one on Rivera. But there's a lot of other candidates. So any candidates you guys are potentially interested in, drop them below. Of course, I'll have rumor videos out every time I hear something about a potential coach. And hopefully the New York Giants get this right. Because the next guy we bring in can't be here for 2 years. Can't be. He's got to be here for 5 years. We need stability. I'm sick of this 2 years. If we bring in another guy and this team struggles and we fire another guy in 2 years, who do you think we're going to end up with? We're going to end up with the trash of the trash. We're going to become the New York Knicks. That's what the New York Knicks are. The Knicks flip coaches every 2 years, Derek Fisher. You go down the list. They're on their third coach. It's the same thing with all my teams. Can't keep doing this. You need stability. The next guy we bring in here, we have to be patient with his fans. We have to give him a real chance. And we need to build a team. Now, the good thing is, whoever is coming in here, credit to Gettleman, is coming in with a much better situation, in my opinion, than Shurmur did. Shurmur came in with an aging quarterback with no cap space, with aging veterans on the defense. Now you've got guys that are coming into their second and third years on the defense who are hopefully improving. You have cap space. You have a high draft pick. You have a quarterback who's going to be going on his second year. So there's things to sell the coach on. And it should be a better foundation set up for that coach over the next 2 years. And hopefully it works out. Because I do not want to become the Cleveland Browns of the NFL. And we're slowly becoming that. We're slowly becoming a laughingstock. A team that flips coaches every 2 years. Can't do it going forward. Next guy that comes in here has got to be here like 7 years like Fossil. At least. And hopefully we get this team headed in the right direction. I do think there's a lot of bright things about this offseason. I cannot wait to report on it. The cap space that we have, the upcoming draft picks. There's a lot of good things to talk about. Daniel Jones improving year 1 to year 2. But the most important thing for this team this offseason, forget about the draft picks, forget about the cap space, is the head coach. You look at the best teams in the league, they have the best head coaches. Kansas City Chiefs, New Orleans Saints, New England Patriots, Pittsburgh Steelers. Those teams have been the most consistent teams over the last 10 years. And it's mainly because of the head coach. Obviously, a quarterback has something to do with it, but the head coach puts that quarterback in a situation to succeed. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. They still won a game. They went 1-1, I think, when Mahomes went down. They find ways to win. Bill Belichick, they go 11-5 when Brady went down a while ago. They find ways to win. They build the proper foundation to succeed. And that's what the Giants need to do. And I think they've started to do that by drafting, because you build a team through the draft, not free agency. They need to continue to do that and set it up for this coach to succeed, whoever it is. And I hope we get the coach of your liking, a Matt Rhule, a Ron Rivera. It's not looking great with Rivera. By all accounts, Rivera will very likely end up with the Washington Redskins. But we'll see who we get as the coaching search begins for the 2020 offseason. Shurmur's gone. Who's next? As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.